Okay, hey everyone, it's Charlie Morgan and welcome to another video. So today I'm joined by a client of ours, Jamie, who started working with us. How long has it been, Jamie? Like 6 months or something like that?
Yeah, 5, 6 months, I would say.
5 or 6 wonderful months, basically. And when Jamie joined us, he was running an agency, sort of full service, and we're going to sort of discuss what problems he had prior to working with us, mostly with acquisition and having focus and everything. And the sort of moral of the story and the premise of today's video is how Jamie's basically signed like, I think it's like 15 clients in the last month or something like that, which is pretty awesome. And we've been working with him, and we've basically helped Jamie systemize everything from client acquisition to onboarding to service delivery, where he now has a really awesome business that basically just scales and is fully automated. So before we talk about all of that, Jamie, why don't you just take a second to introduce yourself and tell the people about who you are and what you do and who you work with?
Yeah, man. So I'll give you the somewhat long story, so in case it might resonate with somebody. My name is Jamie Cosso. I own Red Pig Media. We're an agency based in Ireland, and I suppose to give you the background, I've worked in marketing for years. I've always worked in marketing. Before starting this agency, I was a marketing manager for a large multinational here in Ireland. I had a couple of units around Ireland. Did it for a couple of years, ended up falling out of love with it, falling out of love with the corporate structure and the policies, and having your creativity kind of hemmed in, being told what to do, having to ask to go on holidays, all this kind of stuff. I hated it. So pulled the trigger and handed my notice in January 2020. Bought a one-way ticket to Colombia for February 2020. And when February 2020 came around, all flights were grounded. Nobody was going anywhere. So it was the first time since I was 13 years old that I didn't have a job. I've always had a job, after school, part-time, weekends, whatever. So this is the very, very first time. But it just seemed like the best opportunity to actually go for something and start something. I don't know why it felt like a good decision, but it did. So yeah, I went for it. Kind of started to think about an agency. It made sense, seeing as all I have ever done was marketing. So created an agency, kind of launched it around August 2020, but didn't make a red cent until December 2020. So we're pretty much a year into actually like making money. And yeah, ups and downs for sure. Some good months at the start, some shit months at the start. I don't know how you're going to title this video, but there was a month, March 2020, where I made 500 quid. Yeah. And that probably spanned 6 weeks. That was probably more than just a month, but that was the takings for, I think it was March 2020. So ups and downs, some good months and bad months. But the issue was we were offering everything.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'd ever even recommend to one of my clients. I think it's Michael Porter's "You Can't Be All Things to All People." That's exactly what I was trying to do. I think because most even entrepreneurs, freelancers that start out, it's the first time your income is, you're totally responsible for your income. So you're going to take whatever comes your way. You're going to take jobs that you don't know how to do and figure out how to do them after you get them. So that's what we were doing. We're 6 or 7 different types of services. There were 6 or 7 different types of people involved and kind of contracted to me and working for me. So there was months where revenue was great, but profit was shit. And there was no systems in place at all. So I had been talking to like other course providers or like people that help you kind of scale your system, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
None of them ever connected with me. You reached out. We hopped on, and yeah, everything you said kind of made sense. It was what I was looking for. It was systems.
Yeah.
It was kind of figuring out, it was systems. It was kind of scaling back and learning how to be good at one thing. And I don't know if you remember our sales call or not, but I remember calling you a bastard for selling to me so well.
No, I think I do remember that, mate.
Yeah.
We got you on board on that first call, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember you saying something along those lines. You're like, God, you're too good at this, you bastard, or something.
Yeah. It was the case. Like I read it all the time in business books or mindset books or whatever kind of self-help books. You need to find somebody that's done what you want to do and learn from them, which is exactly what you and Bo have done. You've scaled your agency already to whatever it is, multi 7 figures. Now you're doing this, and I wanted to learn how to sell like you as well.
I get that from quite a lot of people, because obviously, like, because we haven't had any prior case studies, personal brand, or ads to leverage for Imperium, we've had to rely on cold email and our own sales skills. And like one of the main things we say from people is like, they're like, how do I know your system works? I'm like, well, how did you hear about us and get on this call and get this close to giving us like all your money? And they're like, well, you'd sent me a cold email and you've done a very, very good sales process. And I was like, well, if we can convince you to go through this process with us, how easy do you think it is for us to teach you how to do the same thing for other people who are far less skeptical than you are? So yeah, I get that. And I'm really glad you came on board because, well, you know, the way I sell and the way we're teaching our reps to sell is it's like, if you've got a product that can change someone's life, which I know this product does, as evidenced by us being here today, it's like you do everything you can to get them on board. Because it's like you've got a winning lottery ticket and you're like, dude, I know if you buy this thing, then you'll get exactly what you want and more. And so yeah, it's kind of a moral obligation for us to like to sign people. So you joined us and you were offering loads of different services and you had some good months revenue but shit profit, and you had a month where you made $500. And I remember, so you joined us about 6 months ago, but you've really only been using our outreach methods for about 3 or 4 months because you had to sort of figure everything out first. And so in the last well, since let's say since the start of November, so we're now about, you know, through November and into the middle of December here. So how many clients have you signed in the last couple of months? 5 days, if you'd like.
Yeah, so I suppose even on your point there, probably one of the biggest turnarounds for me, one of the biggest kind of moments for me in the actual course or making my way through the course was picking a niche. Again, going back to what I said, we had loads of clients and loads of different niches, loads of different industries, doing loads of different things for them. So we actually weren't even really getting very good at anything or really getting any really good results for people. And it was just that kind of, you're kind of in limbo. So it was kind of scary to think I need to pick a niche, because you're kind of thinking, right, well, I'm going to be hemmed in by this niche now, and you know, I have to say no to other people and this kind of thing. But I think on one of the coaching calls, you said something that stuck with me, and I could butcher it now, but I think you kind of said the reason you pick a niche is so you can be broad. So I was kind of thinking, right. So I went into fitness.
It's like finding abundance in scarcity.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. It's like if you want to have, you can't have everything, but you can have anything.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I picked fitness, right? Because I had 1 or 2 clients in fitness. I like it myself as an industry. I get on well with our clients because they're similar to me, I suppose, in a couple of different ways. But when I actually, that day when I picked it, it was like the weight was kind of lifted, because I was like, okay, now I know who I'm going for. Now I know how to serve them. Now I know how to speak to them. I can learn how to sell to them. I can learn how to, you know, it just makes everything a whole lot easier. And when you do think about being broad in a niche, let's say fitness, I can now go after gyms, coaches, CrossFit, boot camps, running, swimming trainers, whatever. And it's kind of a weight off when you actually make the decision. So what was your initial question?
So I was just basically asking about how many clients you've signed, but I think you sort of went from that question to sort of being more streamlined. But like when you think about that from November to now.
Yeah, so I had maybe 1 or 2, and at the moment it's looking like we're taking on an awful lot at the moment, getting them onboarded for January, because obviously January is going to be a crazy season. But it's looking like it'll be 15, probably 16 active in January, I think, which is nuts. And the majority of them have come.
Let's just sort of take a second, because so you had your previous agency where you were doing everything for everyone. It wasn't a business. You were a glorified freelancer, basically. Everything was running through you as chaos. You basically shut that down and started a new agency. And so you had basically like 1 client, as you mentioned, maybe 2, and you've gone from 1 to 2 clients to 16 paying clients with onboarding fees and pay-per-lead retainers over the course of what, like 4 months, do you reckon?
Yeah, probably about 4 months.
That's nice, man.
What's funny on that is the very first month I did outreach, obviously I was doing it all myself. Fine. I think I booked 18 calls in the first month. And I think I sold 1 of them because my offer wasn't right. You know, and the outreach was working. I was getting calls. The calls were going really, really well.
Outreach from the program, or
outreach from the program. The first month, everything was going well, and they were just on the edge of converting and selling, but I lost them all. Do you know what I mean? And it was just a case of the offer wasn't right. So I tweaked it the second month, probably booked a similar amount of calls, and I think I got 5 out of that month or something like that. And it's funny because the offer we tweaked makes us more money, but it sounds it's more incentivizing to the actual client to come on that way.
Why don't you quickly explain how you went through that process of creating the offer? Because in the program, we've obviously got that section that teaches you how to create your own sales argument and your own irresistible offer. Do you want to quickly touch on how that helps you through that process?
Yeah. There's so much in that module that there's almost a checklist of all the stuff you need to have and offer. A guarantee, scarcity, incentive-based pricing. A lot of mine came from actual testing. The very first time I tested my sales script was, I don't know if you remember or not, I tested with a friend of mine who is in fitness. And I said, I want to just test this script.
It worked so well, he called you back up to buy afterwards. Yeah, go on, tell him.
Yeah. So I rang him up and said, listen, I'm going into fitness. I have this thing built. It's pretty much ready to go. And I just want to test the script with you. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to see what you think of the script.
Yeah.
And it worked so well. He had his camera on, I had my camera off. And when you go into the area of creating a little bit of pain for them so they can understand where they need to get to from where they are now, and you place yourself as a vehicle for them to get there, I could see the script working in his face, and I could see the way he was thinking, and I could see everything working.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, shit, this is
really that's the script you used from the program and edited a little.
Yeah, and it's the script I still use now. So yeah, he called me back and he said, do you know what? I actually want to come on with you. We said we'd leave it for a couple of months until everything's
get some proof of concept first.
Yeah, the script was absolutely, and it is absolutely insane. So the offer probably came from, a lot of it was that month of trials and fails. And figuring out, okay, that actually doesn't work. The beautiful thing about failing is you kind of know now what doesn't work. You can test something else. And it looks like we've kind of found, a winning strategy that I'm sure I'm going to keep tweaking, and I have already started tweaking to make it even better for us and for them. But I suppose that's how that offer kind of got created. It was obviously through your course, gives you the blueprint. And then I suppose you kind of bring it to market and test it yourself. And that's another beautiful thing about the course, is you teach us how to create it for ourselves. So it's not.
Yeah, there's no sort of copy and paste element of it, because that never works like in the long term. So that makes sense. So when, in terms of the appointment flow you've currently got, because in the program, we've got like 6 or 7 methods for you to book appointments, but you're only using one of them. How many appointments are you booking right now per week, per month? Is it like 10 per week or something, 5 per week or something similar, like 1 or 2 a day or something?
Yeah, so it kind of started off, like I said, that first month was 18 or so. But I was doing all of the outreach myself. Everything again was through me, and I kind of wanted to take it to kind of the 10K per month mark before I started getting VAs, and before, just so I knew that it worked. I wanted to learn it as well as I possibly could before I would teach somebody else. So at the moment, we're booking over 10 calls a week, I would say. Yeah. Pretty easily. Yeah. So.
And that's all automated as well.
It's all automated. And to be honest with you, Charlie, that was one of the first times I felt like an actual business owner, right? Because glorified freelancer for sure. Everything going through me, kind of making it up as you go along. Yeah. But when you can have people in place and they're doing their job for you, and I can go to bed now at night and wake up and there's going to be 10 more emails of people saying that they're interested in my offer. And then you start to feel like, okay, shit, I am actually, that's
one of the best feelings, because we did this with NorthFlow, with our agency, like 4 years ago, when we really started to get the appointment booking thing right. And I remember I can't remember, but it was like a weekend. And I went to bed this Friday night, and it's the first time that someone else had booked a call for me that was inside of the agency. So not like an external done for you appointment booker. And we built this system, and I woke up on Saturday and I looked at my calendar. Well, I got an email from Calendly, and I booked 2 calls just over the night. And that's when I was like, fuck, that's a good feeling. So I resonate with that, man. Just you wait until you get a sales rep, then you start closing sales without even having to blink. It's like,
yeah, like, I mean, it's a crazy place to be in now, so fast. But I know now from what I've learned in the course, the stuff that's already in place, outreach and client acquisition is probably never going to be an issue for me again. I think it's going to be easy for me to get clients. If I ever needed to shut it off and turn it on again, I think it's going to be pretty much as easy as that.
Because this is what Ketu said as well, the last person who I interviewed, just so everybody has the context of that on the channel. And you were talking to us about the same issue he's facing, where it's like, I now know, now that I've solved acquisition, the problem I have is operation based. And sort of systemizing that. And so we've helped you with the process of finding media buyers and systemizing service delivery. do you want to quickly touch base on that? Because a lot of people think about Imperium and they just think appointment booking, but the systems work so fucking well that the problem is no longer appointment booking once you've used them. So do you want to sort of touch base on what your next steps are for what you think you need to systemize beyond what you're currently doing?
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy because that outreach thing, it does seem sorted. My sales skills, I think, are up to a point now where I feel very comfortable selling to somebody. I feel also very comfortable telling somebody that they're not a right fit for us, which is...
Well, those two things are basically the same. As soon as you get comfortable enough to say to someone, I don't want to work with you, or you're not a good fit, that's when you know like you're on the right track. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. So the next thing, yeah, is service delivery, right? And trying to put a system in there where not so much that it's automated, but so that you know that it's good, you know that you're shit hot at it. The next steps for my agency, like I wouldn't say that it's a certain figure per month. The next steps for me and our agency is to be one of the best at what we're doing, and to figure out a service delivery that's shit hot and it gets all of our clients really, really good results. That's what the next steps is for us. That's what I'm going to be focusing on now and in next year. And obviously money comes with that and clients come with that anyway, but it's nice to be in a position where you can actually focus on that. So yeah, through the course, outreach is done, sales is pretty much dialed in, and onboarding at the moment is pretty much getting systemized and getting it down very, very fast at least. Have media buyers on board now, so it's a case of I can't take my eyes off it or anything like that, but it's all starting to come into place. And you probably said it as well, either in one of the modules or in one of the coaching calls, and it stuck with me, and it's kind of one of my plans is that I can have a business that is automated in the beginning. I do a sales call, the service delivery is automated, and all I'm doing is jumping on sales calls and scaling up my business constantly. So that's the point where I'm trying to get. I think the first half of it is done. The second half of it now is definitely the next part, which is,
because I think that's the sort of thing I wanted you to focus on when you joined us, because obviously we planned, like, you kind of, it's like you've got you're trading under the same business you were prior to working with us, but you've got a totally different agency. And so we shut one down to start a new one, and ironically you've scaled this new one in 3 months than the previous one you had over like 3 years or something crazy like that. And it really is just niche selection and building it piece by piece. And the plan for all of our clients is to go through the process of systemizing acquisition, then through the process of systemizing service delivery and onboarding. So you are like the chain, the link between these two facets of the business. And then eventually it's hiring a sales rep. Because once you've got acquisition, sales, and service delivery and support systemized, you don't really have to do anything. And that's what we've been able to do with NorthFlow to a degree. Like, you just have key members of your team, and then you just talk to them every week and they just do their jobs. But it's impossible to get to that point because people want automation without proof of concept. And so I see this all the time where people are like, oh, I want to scale my agency and use automated systems, and I'm going to hire a media buyer and a sales rep, and I'm going to do all this automated stuff. And it's like, well, you've kind of got to figure it out yourself before you can pass it on to someone else. And you're in the process of doing that. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's not what's that saying? It's not a golden bullet or whatever they say it is.
Yeah, silver bullet or something like
that. It's a shit.
I think it's like golden pill and silver bullet. So you were close.
Okay.
Silver pill, golden bullet. Yeah,
like you guys will teach you the strategies, but it's not going to happen without the hard work. Do you know what I mean? Still pulling crazy long days, but probably the most important thing out of this whole course coming on with you guys is not so much all the stuff that you will learn, because it's all a sum of its parts. For me, the most important thing that I was able to take away from it was, I suppose, the realization that I can fucking do this. Do you know what I mean? And this can actually be a business and an agency that I can grow to a certain point where it's life-changing. Do you know what I mean? I always knew that there was something there. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to get there. I knew that if I could find it, I have the self-belief and the work ethic to actually go after it and get it. But it's realizing that I can actually fucking do it.
I think this is like how the first step to making like real progress is recognizing possibility. Because it's like, it's not, because when it's like with all the stuff we teach in the program and the methods we teach, and people are like, no way you can book appointments with that, or no way you can close with that script, or I don't think it's possible to go, because, like, you know, you've gone from 0 to multi 6 figures in literally 3 months, 3 or 4 months, right? Since you started the new agency, if you projected your revenue over a year. And to most business people, like, if you said, yeah, hey, you can start a business that goes from 0 to like 200K a year in 3 months with margins of like 60 to 80%, they'd be like, no fucking way. There's no way you can do that. But why the hell not? All you have to do is be crazy enough to believe that something like that's possible, and then, you know, learn from people that have done it.
Learn from people that have done it. Yeah, 100%. I think, I don't know if I said it to you before. I think I've said it to other people, and don't get offended when I say it, but this course is like how to build a successful agency for dummies, because everything is there. Like literally everything's there. You can't fail if you put all the stuff in. If you follow it, if you work hard, you can't fail. Especially with like the support of you guys, the support of everyone that's in the actual group, the coaching calls, everything is there. It shows you how to build it up.
To let you in on the secret, so we're in the process of now, we've got 150 people in the group. We've probably signed anywhere between like 120 to 130 agencies, because obviously there's a few extra people as business partners and team members. But out of the 100 and whatever it is we've signed so far, we haven't had a single dispute, or we haven't had to process a single full refund or anything like that. Because obviously everyone comes on board with the full money back guarantee, where we're like, look, if you don't make your money back, we'll give you a full refund, but you've got to do the work. And we haven't had one person come to us and ask for a full refund, which is amazing. And not one dispute, which is kind of weird. And we'll get one, you know, we'll have one every now and then, but it's like the weird thing about us, Jamie, the program is that we know it's the best, but we're also terrified that it's not good enough. So we've already got plans for next year where we're going to really it's going to be like 3 times better than it currently is, which is kind of awesome. And we're going to be spending a lot of time working on it, because, you know, right now, like you said, everything's in there, but we want more. Like I want everyone to be able to hop in and, you know, just add like 20K to their revenue in like 3 months, similar to you've done almost. But like,
I've often thought about your money back guarantee, right? And I can't remember what the actual stipulations are, if it's not in a certain time frame or something like that. But once you actually get into the course and once you actually start doing it,
you're like, I'm not asking for a refund.
Yeah, you'd be like, look, I might not make my money back if I don't put it in right now. It doesn't really matter. The shit that I'm learning here is worth 10 times what I paid for the course. So I can't see how anyone would actually come back and say, no, I want my money back.
Yeah, I think like, you know, it's once people hop in, because so many people have been burned by programs before. And I don't know if you've taken courses before this, but I know you were talking to a few people about agency scaling. Even just saying it makes my skin crawl because it has such a negative connotation. But like, you know, what we recognized is that with NorthFlow, we probably invested like 20, 30, 40 grand in courses, right? And the odd one's helpful, but none of them are really super needle moving courses, except from anything by Sam Evans. That man's a fucking genius. And so we looked at the market and we thought, well, what if we just do what needs to be done? And we actually put together like an entire, like, it's going to suck. It sucked to record all those videos and stuff, but we have people who hop in and like within the first like week, we get messages from them saying, thank you for closing me, which is like, thank you for taking my money. And that's not like a cocky thing from our perspective, although I'm quite proud of that. But, you know, we sort of thought, we looked at the industry and we were like, God, we need to clean this up because there's so much bullshit out there. And I'm glad.
Do you mind me asking then already, you done so much money, spent so much money in courses, this, that, and the other. What was it for you guys that actually moved the needle? Is it just mentorship with the people that, you know, have done what you're trying to get to? Where was it that you guys kind of learned?
Well, the one person that has moved the needle for us is Sam Evans. That's from an info product perspective and also an agency perspective. Sam Evans he's an absolute genius. We're going to do his Quantum Mastermind either this coming year or next year, which is about like 40 grand or something. And we're going to go to that. But up-level consulting is really helpful, consulting accelerator. But the main thing that's moved the needle for Bo and I collectively through not only getting NorthFlow to 7 figures, but now Imperium to 7 figures in pretty much like 12 months is mindset. And it's just the belief systems that we've had and developed and the identities that we've sort of grown into, because like that's really the thing that moved the needle for us. The strategies and the processes and the techniques that you need to learn, they're all out there for you to just realize. But the first thing is to sort of think, right, I'm the kind of person that can make this really easy. And so like we're sort of having to grow Imperium now. We want to go from, you know, high 6 figures to 7 figures, then multi 7 figures and 8 figures. And that process is purely mindset. And so that's the main thing. And we're going to be doing a mindset module for the program because we've realized like, fuck, it's the most important thing, but it's taken us a year to put it together.
Yeah. And there's a lot of gold dust in terms of mindset in your sales module in there as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, the most important thing was maybe me realizing that I could bring this to a certain level. Probably the second most important thing that I've learned from the course was your sales module, because it's so applicable to life. If you understand how to sell something, or if you understand how to handle objections, you probably understand the human psyche a little bit more.
Oh God, yeah.
And it
feeds
really
into everything, man. Like knowing how, like, because really, when you think about like an agency or most companies, really it's just knowing how to deal with people and getting them to do what you want, or getting them to do with what you know is within their best interests, but allows them to grow and allows you to make money. And that's why, like, I think the thing that springboarded me specifically towards the growth that we've had was my apprenticeship doing cold calls. Like, I had to make like 150 cold calls a day for like 18 months straight, or like a year straight. And that was just like, because what I realized when we were doing cold calling was in the office, and there was two types of people in the office. One was the person who just did the calls with no enthusiasm, and they basically just like hated it. But the other person was the person who hated it, but also actually tried. And it was just by sort of just trying every call, just having that little inflection in your voice, or just making the extra call here and there, that made it fun, because then you get more results. Ironically, everybody who started got fired anyway, but yeah, the cold calling, man, was the thing. But anyway, back to you. So what's your plan now? Because I think January you're probably going to have like a 25k month, to be honest with you, because you're working on performance with pay per lead stuff, because that's the cool model as well. But what's your plan?
It's hard to look at that and see that as a potential income for a month.
Well, I believe it for you already.
Yeah, I know that
I believe so far for you has been right.
Yeah. We'll report back, in a month's time, and we'll see how we do. But we have onboarded so many people now that if we can deliver, we will 100% be at that point. Like I said, it's at the moment, thankfully, I'm in a place where I'm not too worried about finances or sales coming in, because I know I can get it, right? I know I can get pretty much clients on autopilot now, which is insane. Yeah. It's more so trying to focus on being the best at it, trying to focus on being the best at the service delivery and getting all of our clients really, really, really good results. That's what I'm most worried about at the moment, because I know the first half of the equation is done. In terms of finance, I did say to you that one of my goals was to do a 36,500 a month. That was my previous salary in a job that I felt undervalued in anyway. So it would be amazing to kind of do that in a month. It would be absolutely insane to do it in a month. It's trending that way, and I know that with consistency it will end up going that way. With you, like, you guys are stuck with me now as well. Any problems I'm gonna have?
Well, it's kind of like we quite enjoy it, man, because it's we get to watch you go through the process that we've had to go through for two businesses. And it's a nice sort of there's an element of empathy to it, I suppose, where you can be like, what do I do? And we're like, well, this is exactly what you do, because we remember that quite clearly. And we do that for all of our clients, obviously. And you've got the weekly coaching calls. And the interesting thing, and I was looking at because I got interviews with Ishmael coming up, and another guy called Martin, people who have also added like multi six figures over the course of like a few months of working with us. And like, I've looked at the underlying sort of thing, trying to figure out like, what do all these people have in common? And it's the coaching calls. Like, you've been on those ones religiously, not all of them every week, twice a week, but more often than not, you're on those calls. We can't get rid of you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. But like, I think that the fact that you've just stuck to those and worked hard is a testament, because we can give you the content, but if you don't do the work, so you should be proud, man, because you've done something.
I said it in one of my recent posts in the thing, they're just full of they're just full of golden nuggets. They're insane, because something that somebody else is struggling with, either you have struggled with it, you are struggling with it, or you will. And there's so much that you can pick up from what other people are actually saying on those calls, the advice you guys are giving. Like, I could be working away on one screen, I have the coaching call on another screen, just listen. Something will pop up and I'll just write it down.
Yeah, I mean, like, scaling an agency is really just solving a collection of problems, and like problems manifest themselves as questions which people ask us, and then we provide answers which are solutions. And if you have all the solutions, then you know what to do and what actions to take to put cause to effect to get to 7 figures. That's all there is to it. And people overcomplicate it, and they think this getting to 7 figures or multi 6 figures, or their goal is this, weird abstract thing, and it's all gray and they can't see what they're doing, what they need to do. But really, you just recognize it's just, hey, there's all there is just problems standing in the way. And so on those calls, people ask us questions like, oh, like the one we had yesterday where someone was like, I'm not sure what to do with this lead sourcing thing I've got. And then I'm like, okay, well, here's how you solve that problem. And then, you've got like 4 other people like, okay, I'm going to do that as well. I have never even thought to ask that. I didn't even know it was a problem. So often we have problems that we don't even know we have, and it takes other people to bring them up to recognize them. But yeah man.
And even in what you said there, to go back to your point, one of the things you're going to learn if you take this course and give it the time of day and really actually work on it is how to scale, which I had no idea of before. That's probably where that light bulb moment came for me, where I said, I actually can do this, because I'm not doing 6 different things at the moment. I'm doing one thing. I'm trying to get really, really good at it. And the onboarding, the outreach is kind of copy and paste and it's done. The onboarding can be copy and paste and it's done. The service that you're providing can be copy and paste, because if it works for one, in my case, gym or fitness coach or PT, it's going to work for another one. You tweak it and you scale up, and scale just becomes a numbers game. Well, and if you figure it out, it becomes quite easy to understand, at least.
Because what I've learned about scale, in my limited experience, because getting to 7 figures is a drop in the ocean, right? And 8 figures is the next step. But what I've learned about scale is that it really, like, the main thing to scaling is just finding a proof of concept and then just repetition. So people see scale once again as this weird abstract concept they can't explain or understand, but it breaks down into 2 pieces: finding something that gets the result you want, and then just repeating that thing over and over and over and over again. And that's all there is to it. It's just, but the proof of concept is where people slip up, because people are like, oh, their goal is to scale the agency. I want to scale, I want to scale, I want to grow. But you can only scale something that you've proven to work on a micro level. If you want macro, you have to have micro, and then you have a fractal pattern. And we're going to be recording videos on this, like mindset wise and agency foundations wise and stuff, because now that we've overseen like over 100 and whatever it is people scale and grow with the program, we've sort of been able to really start to think about heuristics. So that'll be coming as well. But we should probably wrap up, because it's been like 40 minutes. But mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm really excited to see where you go next. And it'd be great to sit down next December and talk about how you've got to that, point where you're basically receiving your old salary every month. And I think you'll probably get there a bit sooner if you can nail the service delivery. But just for the last sort of thing in closing, if you were a prospect of Imperium and you were thinking about coming on board, knowing what you know now, what would you say to that person who's on the fence?
Oh, well, knowing what I know now, it's obviously a no-brainer, right? If I didn't know what I knew now, your sales could probably get me. But if I could listen to a video like this, everything is there. Like I said, if you are serious about scaling an agency and learning how to do it, you can't fail with something like this. Do you know what I mean? That money back guarantee is as good as gold, because it's 100% true. I think that if you put in what's there, it's going to work. There's no reason that it shouldn't work if you put the work in. And if something doesn't work, you are surrounded by support and people, like-minded people, yourself and Bo, who will help you get there. Do you know what I mean? It has to be the best course on the market for it. It has to be. I can't see how anything else could actually.
I always ask these questions and I get all sort of like shy. I'm like, oh, stop it. But I appreciate it, man.
Listen, if you're on the fence, I can't give you a reason why you shouldn't go for it. Just invest in it. It's going to work.
Appreciate it, man. That's awesome. Well, yeah, we'll tie it up there. No doubt I'll talk to you again in 6 months or 12 months when you're even further ahead. If you can make the time for me when you're so busy with clients. But mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, I'll look forward to that. So for those of you guys who have tuned in to watch the video, a couple of pieces of next steps, if you like. Subscribe if you like the video. Obviously, if you like the video, just press the like button. And also in the description, you'll find 2 links. The first one will take you through to a funnel where you can book a call for us to sell you exactly what we've used to get Jamie to get this result. And the second one will take you through to a Facebook group, which will be a softer approach where we'll introduce you to content and make you fall in love with all of our free stuff so you can buy our paid stuff eventually, for full transparency. But yeah, Jamie, unless you've got anything else, Matt, I think we can wrap it up there. I think he might have disconnected. You there, mate?